All right, mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, I think we're good. We've been going at this shit for like 3 hours, so let's get it popping.
This just the intro. Let me not get ahead of myself.
Welcome back to the All Talk with Jem and Chris podcast. This is your host Chris, alongside my good friend Jem. How you doing?
Hey guys, I am struggling with some bronchitis today, but we're gonna go ahead and make this work. And other than that, I'm doing great.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm doing well too. Other than this bum ass shit not working out, but I think we got it now. So first of all, I wanted to shout out all of our listeners, our supporters, everybody that's been fucking with the podcast for the first episode. All the feedback and the criticism we've been getting is pretty dope, more than I expected for sure. So like as always, just keep listening, keep sharing that shit. Write us and let us know if there's something we want to talk about or if we could do better, or we're doing great. Just feedback is always welcome. So yeah, just hit us up. Thank you to all the YouTube watchers, listeners, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, however you got your hands on it. We appreciate y'all listening. So yeah, right now we're just gonna get right into it. Before we do that though, I kind of wanted to introduce ourselves a little bit for the new listeners. I am Chris. I am 28. I have a daughter. She's about to be 4. I work full time and a part time. I also do school. So, I don't have time for anything else. And that's it. We've been wanting to do a podcast for a while, and so now we're doing this shit.
Hey guys, I'm Jem. You guys probably know me. And if you don't know me, then get to know me. I'm 25. I have a kid. I'm happily married for the most part. I love animals. I have a lot of pets in my house. I don't want to say a lot, but 3 dogs and a cat. And yeah, podcasting has been a huge part of my life the last 2 years, and I'm really excited to be doing this show with Chris now, and just to bring you guys a little something different. My goal is to change it up every season. So this season, we're going to be talking about certain things that the next season we won't be talking about. And yeah, I just also wanted to send a little shout out to our audio producer, Derek. He's the one that makes this magic happen, evens out all the
shout
sounds,
out Derek, it's my boy,
and everything else. So with that being said, let's get to today's topic.
Let's get to it. Let's do it. Actually, before we kind of get into that shit, one thing that I just remembered. I had somebody that kind of told me that this podcast, that we were kind of covering some shit that already had happened and that we should do current events. I welcome your criticism, but I don't give a fuck about it. This is, we're not here to just cover current events. Like, if you want to cover current events, just, watch the news. Listen to everybody else who does that shit. We're just here to talk about what we feel is important to us and people can relate to. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be like what happened on that day or the day before. Like, we will cover some shit, once in a while where we feel strongly about it, and so we'll talk about it. But as far as us just sticking to like current events and what's going down in the world, I'm not, this is not news. This is not the radio. Like, we're not here for that. We're here to talk shit and talk about what the fuck we want to talk about.
And also be aware that we record on Sundays. We do have busy lifestyles, and we have other things that we're doing. So yeah, we may not be caught up on everything, and you may be hearing this a little delayed. For the most part, we will post our opinions on certain things on our Facebook page, All Talk with Jem and Chris, on our Instagram pages. And like Chris said, we thank you for your criticism. But we run our show a little bit differently.
Right.
So you're going to be hearing a mixture of everything. You'll hear something that's kind of late that we missed on, or something that's kind of, updated. But this is what it is. We're just 2 friends sitting down talking about things that are on our mind. And if that happened to, happen like a week ago, guess what? We're still going to talk about it.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of the things that we even talk about is like, even if it happened last week or last month or last year, it's shit that I'm pretty sure is still affecting somebody one way or another. Even us, you know what I mean? It's not like we're just going to talk about something that's already done. Like, I'm not going to come and start talking about Mayweather fighting McGregor because nobody, it's done. But the shit that we talk about, if it's not current, it's shit that we feel like people might relate and be like, yo, I'm cool. It's cool to hear somebody else's, take on whatever went down however long ago, because we still kind of feel like we're dealing with it. So this is what we do. Like, and it doesn't mean that we don't want you guys to tell us what to talk about, not to talk about, because we'll read into it, be like, yo, this is actually a good idea. Let's get into it. We're not always going to agree, but, we're not saying don't criticize us, don't, give us like, you know, suggestions what to talk about. I just kind of wanted to clarify because maybe they kind of had the idea of like we just wanted to talk about current events and that's it. But you know, there's a lot more shit going down. That was, you know, everybody already knows current events. You know, especially with social media, there's a lot of shit that everybody already knows about. So I just feel like us just sticking to current events would just be repeating everything that everybody already heard. And
right.
That just, you know, what I mean, that's trash.
And that's going to bring us to our first topic on oh, no, it's not our first topic, but I'm getting out of order here. Yeah, I mean, like Chris said, he pretty much laid it down. And remember, the name of the show is All Talk.
All Talk.
So we're talking about all of the things that are on our minds and all the things that we see on our Facebooks and our Twitters and things like that. So I know, so we're going to be talking to you guys about a couple of serious things. One of those being DID. How do you say it?
Dissociative identity disorder. Yeah,
Yes,
like for
perfect.
sure this episode we're gonna take more of like a serious route. Like where last episode we talked more about entertainment and like, you know, fame and all that other shit. So this week we kinda wanna talk about like real shit. So like she said, we're gonna get into and now we're not gonna really get into dissociative identity disorder. For other people might know it as multiple personality disorders. I'm going to school for psychology, so all this shit is big to me. Like I'm passionate about it. I read about it. I talk about it. But it's a theory that I kind of read into a few weeks ago, and I've been reading into it still. And it was talking about, for example, if somebody has more than one personalities, and can one personality suffer from one thing that the other one doesn't, as far as like health wise, or you know. So for example, if one person can see all colors, if you develop another personality, can the other personality be colorblind? Is that possible? Or like we were talking about earlier with Jem, shit with like, you know, diabetes. If your dominant personality is diabetic, but you develop another personality that might be allergic to insulin, is that possible? Could that happen? So that's when we kind of read into it, and I don't want to ramble on it too much because, you know, there's so much shit that we can talk about that I won't cover. But my theory was like, I think it's possible, and not in a sense where you're really, let's just get into the whole diabetic thing. So let's say I'm diabetic, and I know I depend on that shit, like, you know, I'm sure a lot of people do. Most of my family, actually. And let's say I develop a personality, you know, later down the road, and that personality becomes allergic to the insulin. Is that possible? So my theory was for like, maybe you're not really allergic to it, but your brain kind of trains your body to show you those side effects and show you those allergic reactions when you take the insulin as the other personality. So you'll break out, or you'll have, you know, start foaming, or whatever it is that may happen. But so I don't think you're really like proven to be allergic to it, but your body, because your brain is so powerful and like it can fucking make you think and do whatever it wants to, that it might just make your body like think that you're allergic. So it'll show you all the side effects and all the allergic reactions that somebody who really is allergic to it would do. And it's like, I believe it because I know somebody really close to me actually that she believed she was pregnant, and she literally started showing like her stomach started growing. She had all this morning sickness, all that other shit that comes with pregnancy. So everybody thought she was pregnant. We all did because, like I said, she was showing. And then she went to the doctor and they did all this other tests, and then they found out she was never pregnant. Now this happened way back in the day when I was still living back home in Colombia, and obviously our, you know, medical technology is not as advanced as it is here, so it took them a lot longer to pick up on the fact that it was like there's a name for it, but I don't know what it is, like a fake pregnancy. So it's like, if your brain can train your body to make it think you're pregnant, you know, why can't it train it to make you think you're allergic to whatever shit another personality isn't, or shut down parts of your brains where you cannot see a certain color where your dominant personality can. Right. You know what I mean? So it's pretty fucking crazy. And
I think, you know, one of the one of the things about this DID is that I think the best thing so far that has kind of put ease into it has been the movie Split. The movie Split kind of, you know, I don't like to compare movies to real life, but this movie really captured what it was like to suffer with DID. And, you know, it showed the character, Patricia did one thing and then the other character did something else. But the last character truly believed that, you know, he was a beast. And the other personalities, you know, that wasn't their thing, but they all knew each other. And it was very strange to me. So I did a little bit more research on, you know, DID, and it's not a common thing for people to have. But I do know someone very close to me that does suffer from it. And it's actually, it's very interesting how the personalities sometimes connect with each other, or they know, things about each other. But then there are other instances where the personalities have no idea about, the other person. So it's a very, very complicated disorder. It's a very complicated
it's crazy.
topic. You could spend hours and days talking about it. But the thing is, research is what comes into this, talking about the scenario, talking about, having DID, because it's not like schizophrenia, and it's not like being, having a major depressive
anxiety,
episode.
Like
right.
bipolar, even bipolar disorder.
Right. It's something very different, because we have seen people that are bipolar, they act different ways, and they're kind of switching and everything. But, with DID, you are looking at something totally just out of this world. And I think it was pretty interesting to see how the characters in that movie, showed exactly what it's like to have DID. I mean, I don't want to say terrified, but when I watched that movie, I was like, wow, it's really interesting. And I think it's a good topic that we brought up and we talked about a little bit. And, again, since we're talking about that, I think we should go ahead and chat about mental health. I think we're at a time where I get kind of emotional talking about it, because there are so many people that have lost their lives with the battle of mental health. I feel like right now, it's just getting worse and worse, especially if you're on Twitter and you see what people are saying and how depressed everyone is. I mean, we live in a time where for the culture, it's okay to be like, I'm depressed, I'm going to kill myself.
Oh, yeah. People, that's the thing. It's disgusting how people glorify that shit now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see people posting that shit all over social media all the time. Like, oh, yeah, I'm so depressed and I'm so lonely. But the way that they approach it is like, it's cool. Like, it's a cool thing now to be suffering from anxiety and suffering from depression. Like, for somebody that suffers from both of that bullshit, no, you don't really want to suffer.
It can be crippling.
It can be crippling. The fact that you can be 1 second like all about living and so excited about doing whatever, and then something just fucking triggers in your brain where you're like, fuck, I'm not feeling this shit at all. Now I don't want to go anywhere. Now I don't want to do it. So it's like she was saying, it's disgusting how people are glorifying it these days and not taking it seriously.
Especially when we're parents, and, especially when I see children, 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, 10, talking about, I want to kill myself, or I'm not happy with life. Yeah. It's really scary. And I think, Charlemagne the God, shout out to him, is doing an amazing job of using his platform to speak on that.
I hate how good he is, because I cannot stand that boy. But he knows what he's talking about, and he's doing a lot for that shit, which I respect him. There's other things that I might not like about him, but as far as that goes, and his book that I really want to pick up, it's cool how he talks about it, how he's so very involved in that. Very open,
Because so many people are suffering from anxiety, and so many people are suffering from depression. And we're at the time where, right now we have seasonal depression going on, and that's another thing in itself. Yeah. So, I think that we need to talk more about it. There needs to be more clinics, and I know that it sounds like I probably don't know what it takes to do that, or go into that.
Yeah, it's probably a wild process,
right? But I feel like we need to put the effort in to do that, because one of the biggest things that I think Charlemagne is doing and using his platform to talk about mental health is, a lot of people don't understand this, is that when you're African American, or you're in any other culture, sometimes besides the typical Caucasian household, even for them, it's very hard to talk to your parents about being depressed. You could tell your parents that you're depressed, and for me, in my experience, it'll be like, okay, you need to get your Bible and we need to pray the demons away. And I mean, that's okay if that's how you are going to deal with something, because I'm also a Christian and I pray as well. But there are times where you really need a therapist.
Right, you got to be realistic about it.
Right, and then I feel like, cultural families, ethnic families make it very hard for you to say, okay, I really need help. And I think Charlemagne the God stepping out and using his platform to speak, as an African American male, is just, he's doing so much that, and I know that he knows that he's doing so much, but does he really know? Because I look at it and it almost brings me to tears that so many people are now being open with saying, I need to go see a therapist. Maybe I should consider medication, because everyone deserves to live, a chance. Everybody deserves to have a chance at life, and to experience all the happy things, maybe you don't want a child. Maybe you want to find someone that you can grow old with and just vibe with. Everyone deserves that. But unfortunately, when you're mentally ill, that's not the way that shit is going to go for you.
Right, for sure.
And if you don't get help, then, you know, you're going to end up doing what I did for a year. And I stayed in my room for a year. I lost everything that I was working, you know, really hard for. And, you know, my anxiety and depression just took me to a place where I never want to go again.
Yeah, me too. So the same thing that happened to me after everything that went down, you know, in the recent years after I split up with Maddie, my daughter's mom. It was just kind of, I went to a really dark place, and it wasn't because I was still hung up on any of that shit, you know, because, you know, everything happened for a reason, but I was just kind of, you know, I had nothing to go for, and for a while I would just go to work, come to my room, just stay in my room, not do a fucking thing, not want to be around anybody. You push everybody away that wants to really help because, you know, they're not really understanding what you're going through. So instead of you giving them a chance to understand, you push them away and say, you know what, you don't really know what I'm going through, so just leave me the fuck alone. And then you realize that, fuck, you complain about being lonely. And this is the thing, like, I was called out about this shit a couple, like, months ago where I said something about that, and then somebody was like, yo, I don't understand how you, like, complain and hate the fact that you're alone and you're lonely, but when somebody tries to get close to you and understand you, you push them away. And I'm like, yeah, I can't argue with that because it's exactly what I do. But it's, you know, you don't do that on purpose. You do that, you're just doing that because you are so tired of, it's a coping mechanism. And, like, not everybody can be lucky, like, you know, Jem and I, we have kids that we have to work for and to, like, okay, well, I can't give up. I can't just quit my job. I can't just give up on everything because I have a kid that looks up to me. But not everybody has that. So there's a lot of people who don't really have anybody. And so they just find their easiest way out is just, you know.
Right. And like the same
suicide.
thing, too, with, you know,
Drugs.
that I was thinking about with DID is that it's triggered by usually childhood traumas and things like that. And that's the same, you know, with a lot of these disorders, like being bipolar and being depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, for the most part, I think it is a chemical imbalance. It's something in your brain.
Right.
But I also feel like, you know, our environment sometimes cause us to become violently depressed.
Yeah, it's that nature versus nurture dilemma that has been going on in psychology since the beginning of the psychology, you know.
Like, you're not
field.
around people that, you know, promote positive brain energy, and you're not around people that...
Even your family.
Right. I mean, your family, they'd be the worst ones. It'd be your own family, you know, that contributes to that. And I think, you know, for me, I personally can say that I've had a lot of issues with my family, but, you know, over time, I'm going to be 26 next month, and I'm learning that sometimes I got to say, you know what, I love you guys, but I got to put this aside and get help for me. For sure. So while they're still doing what they're doing, and I mean, everybody copes in a different way, but I know for me and my family, if I don't go and talk to somebody and get help, I'm not going to be okay. Yeah. And I feel like now I'm okay with saying that out loud. Like, sometimes I'm just not okay.
And, like, the problem, like, the thing is like, you almost cannot take it personally when they don't really give you the support you're looking for, because at the end of the day, they don't really know what it feels like unless they're dealing with they're also going through that shit. And it's the same. You know what I mean? Huh?
Yes, so just call me out on that one, because that's how I am.
And that's how I was too. And, like, when my friends and my family and everybody try to, like, I'm like, no, you don't fucking understand. Like, leave me alone. You quick, you know. I looked at it as in they were pretending to give a shit about me. But it was like they really were. They just didn't know how to approach it because they never really had to deal with that themselves. And
or they've probably never been open with their own feelings.
I've never been open, exactly. Because everybody has their own shit going. You can't just say, no, I don't go through anything. I'm fucking perfect. Nobody is.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, this is the thing too, is like some people don't even know how to identify the trauma. They just keep like going on, and that's what I did at first. And I was living in a world where I was like, everything's perfect and I'm great. I had my one breakdown. Mm-hmm. That one breakdown was like years worth of things that I was like holding back, and you know that really crushed me to my core. Right. But some people still are not there yet, and they could be like 46, 48, 50. They're not there yet, you know. And I think that's a good point that you made, is that everybody's going through something and everybody's dealing with things. So, you know, we can't get upset when... Yeah,
you can't take it personal when they don't really know how to cope with your own shit. One, because they have their own shit to deal with, and second, because they don't really, at the end of the day, they don't really have to understand why you're going through what you're through. You know, it's you. Nobody, you know, as much as people as you might have in your corner, nobody's going to look after you the way you look after you. No matter who it is. Right. Your fucking wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, father, mother.
You have to want to do it for yourself.
Yeah, you have to do it for yourself. Like, nobody, even if they care and they're willing to do whatever it takes for you, they can't look after you the way you do. Yeah, and that's great. It's awesome. And but they don't know only you know what you need to do.
And you
deep
dig
down.
yourself out of the
Right.
holes that you jump into. So it's like, for me, it was like when I was going through my really bad, depression and going through this moment, my husband now, was just my best friend at the time. And I wanted so badly to, say, help me, but I had to help me. And he was there for me and gave me the best advice and everything like that. But if it wasn't for myself saying, hey, dude, you got to get it together. You got to get the medication. You got to see your therapist again. I wouldn't have taken that step. So I think one of the biggest things, too, is we need to talk about self-care. And it's okay to say, I need a day to be by myself. I need a day to, lay in bed all day. We need those days to
mental
just,
days are really a thing.
Right.
Like people make fun of them, like, oh, I'm taking a day off. Oh, I just need a mental day. Like, no, that's really a thing. You really need that.
Right. I mean, even if your mental day is to literally go to McDonald's and sit there by yourself. Even if your mental day is to go to the beach and just cry
Whatever
for like
means.
2 hours. That's for you.
Yeah, and only
Right.
you know what you got to do, and you can't, we can't get upset when people don't understand what we're doing that because that they're not in our
But
heads.
I think also too, like, I'm just gonna be petty and say this because this is something that always happens. If you are dealing with something, you're depressed, you have anxiety, let someone around you know and say, hey, listen, I'm not doing well. This is what I'm going through. And
that's very important, because nobody can
nobody can read your mind.
Right.
At the same time, like, there comes a point in time where we have to be responsible for our actions,
For
even
sure.
when we're depressed and we're going through, that doesn't give us the pass to go and like hurt someone's feelings because we're depressed. And I think that's something.
Now you just call me out like a motherfucker.
I don't know if you've seen that meme that's like, I'm not the consistent friend. That's good fucking for you.
Yeah.
But, people need consistency in their lives, especially those that struggle with mental health.
Right.
Because all it takes is one time for your brain to say, you see, so-and-so's not even, returning your text. Next thing you know, your brain is like in some fucking place where you don't even know how you got there.
I'm the
Facebook
fucking
stalking.
king of overthinking. Everybody that knows me well, they know that shit. Like, I don't really want to get too personal. I don't like really talk about my personal life too much. But I recently met somebody that I'm been seeing, often, and I'm, we're taking things slow, but like we're really into each other, and as beautiful as that is, because I finally, feel something again. As far as like I'm kind of getting out of that dark fucking spot that I've been in. It also sucks because again, my fucking mental health just plays a big, role in that shit. Where if I go more than fucking 30, 45 minutes without hearing from her, I start fucking, overthinking shit. And like it sucks because, like I said earlier, nobody has to understand that. They if they want to understand it, that's cool. But you can't make them. So if I got lucky with her where she understands that, the shit that I've been through, and she doesn't take it personally. She doesn't take it as a, yo, I don't trust you. It's more of like needing reassurance and shit. But it's cool because she understands that she gives me that reassurance that I need, but not everybody's going to be like that. Some people are going to be like, you know what, you're too insecure. I can't deal with this shit. I'm not doing anything wrong, but you keep making me feel like I am, so I'm out, so it's like, you gotta look after yourself, and you have to be open about it. That's what, as Jen was saying, you have to tell people, because if I just acted the way I've been acting towards her without giving her a reason why, she's gonna dip. So like, or anybody, like, you know what? I don't even know why you won't tell me why you're acting like this, so I can't really justify. I'm out.
Right,
and I can't do this.
And even with like friends, I've been on the side where I've had someone just kind of cut me off, without telling me like, hey, the reason I did that was because I was depressed. If you say, listen, I might be a little bit moody, I might be, I might cry on Thursday and I'm happy on Monday, I'm going to understand. And I'm going to say thank you for reaching out to me.
Right, respected it. Yeah, let me know if we can do
right,
anything.
Because we're grown-ups. We're adults. I feel like, the older that we get, we have to take responsibility. We can't continuously blame things on being anxious and, being depressed. We have to seek help for that. And we have to realize, like, that's not our personality. Like, I'm Jem and you're Chris. Like, yeah, we may struggle with depression and anxiety.
It's not who we are.
Right, it's not who we are.
It's
and it
just
doesn't define us. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've seen too many times where people keep posting that fucking dumbass meme about, I'm not a consistent friend. And I want to tell you, like, there's this girl that I met on an app called Hey Vina. It's like Tinder for women. It pairs you up with different girls in your town so you guys can just get to know each other, just build positive, friendships. And I met this girl, and let me tell you.
Yo, I need one like that for my boys.
From the moment that I met her, She has been texting me every day to make sure that I'm okay. She's asking me, you know, if I needed soup when I was sick, when I first got, you know, my bronchitis. She has been such a consistent person, and I don't even know this girl that well.
What's her name?
Her name is Samantha.
Shout out Samantha. That's dope. Shout out.
But I've known people for years that, you know, have completely just cut me off and then turn around and say, well, the reason was I was depressed. And I'm like, you know, that's not an excuse. No. Like, I've always been your friend. I'm going to be your friend.
Especially they wait so long to tell you why. You just sit, because you can't help but think about, did I do something? Did I fuck something up? And right now I'm being really fucking hypocritical because I'm that guy. I'm that person. I'm trying to change it, but I'm the person that will just go ghost and disappear from it. And everybody that's going to be listening to this shit that knows me well, they're going to agree. Be like, yeah, Chris, you're a piece.
First step is admitting.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Because there's plenty of people that I don't even talk to anymore because of that, where I'll just kind of disappear and stop talking to. And that's not just females, males too. Like, I've cut so many people off for no reason. Well, I mean, there's a reason, but I never gave them a reason. I just kind of disappeared because...
Sometimes it's easier.
Yeah, and I just didn't feel like I needed to justify or explain myself, but it's like, if somebody has been there for you, holding it down for you and helping you and showing you that they give a fuck about you, you owe them that much to tell you that, at least tell them that if you're going to disappear and kind of be on your own for a while, tell them why, and not just kind of like disappear and be like, okay, cool. So everything that I did and said to you just didn't mean, you know, it didn't mean shit because now you can just disappear and drop me like nothing. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm guilty for it and I'm trying to change that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that I'm working on and I just feel like with the way my life is kind of going now is in a better, positive direction. I've met a lot of cool people. You know, you're like one of the dopest persons that I know.
Thank you.
You know, girl that I met that she'll remain nameless for now, forever. You know, my kid's doing well and work's going well, school. So it's like, I got things to like be grateful for. So I recognize and admit that like, yo, you know what? I was really a piece of shit like last year. And I know it wasn't my fault. Yeah. So as soon as you admit that, you're like, okay, cool. Now that I know what I was doing wrong, I know how to fix it. Because until you don't, you're not going to think you're doing anything wrong because you're not looking into that.
Right. And I think for me too, like one of the biggest steps I have taken is just making amends with people that I've hurt. If I've hurt you in the past,
I don't have that kind of time.
I'm gonna say I'm sorry because I know what kind of person I am, and I know, you know, how hurt I get, and how much I appreciate, you know, just somebody reaching out to me and something like that. So, you know, I feel like we're all moving at our own pace, which is great. But, you know, like I said, self-care is the most important thing right now.
Yeah,
take care of yourself. And, but at the same time, you know, don't be selfish. Take care of yourself so you can take care of someone else. That's my motto.
That's the very first thing.
Because, you know, and be there for other people because, I mean, the way the world is working, you know, we definitely need to.
Oh yeah, more than ever, we need to be united, and it's not just us; it's everybody. You need to come together because we have a higher power that's just, you know, doing whatever it takes to ruin everything. So we need to kind of stick together. But like she said,
don't pay attention to that.
No, self-care is important because you're not going to be able to care and love anybody until you realize that you need to learn how to do it to yourself.
Right,
I can't love anybody if I fucking hate myself because I don't know how.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I forgot
like, I mean, you know, basically, like Chris said, is... If you can't love, you know, anybody if you don't love yourself. And it is so fucking hard to love yourself because your brain tells you everything that's wrong with yourself.
Sure.
But if you can, you know, my biggest advice is I have a notebook that I carry. And every day I write one thing that I like about myself or something, you know, good that I did. And at the end of the week, I can go back on that and say, here are 5 reasons, you know, why you're existing. Here are 5 reasons
why. That's a dope idea.
You know, you're a good person. And it's hard because every time you do something, your brain's like, you're the biggest piece of shit. One failure to your brain is like a ginormous thing, you know? So you want to make sure that you are always, you know, telling yourself, hey, listen, like, I'm okay. Like, this is going to be all right. One mistake is not going to define your entire life. And one mistake is not going to define, you know, everything, your existence. And for me, that was the hardest part. And, you know, now that I'm 25 years old, I'm learning that self-care is a absolute real thing. And I'm doing it. It's hard for me to make time, but I'm doing my self-care thing. I'm making sure that I'm, you know, going out for a walk. And for me, it was losing weight. And, you know, self-care is eating right and trying to maintain a regular diet.
Oh, so, for sure. Getting back to that time of your life where you loved yourself, and no matter what that means, just doing it, whether it's changing yourself physically, mentally, everything that you got to do. There's a lot of shit that, you know, I got to work on as well. Like I said, I'm working on it. It's just you know.
Right.
So, like, if anybody's listening that I kind of pushed away, without having a reason to, this isn't going to anybody that had a reason to be pushed away. Fuck y'all. Anybody else, you know, I apologize, and it was my own shit. Hopefully, you know, if it's any of you guys listening, write me, message me, be like, hey, piece of shit, you know, I deserve an apology. And I'll be like, all right, yeah, sure. But, you know, we're working on it. So I think that's really important. I don't really want to get too much more into that because I feel like we'll just burn a whole episode just on that. I just felt like it was really cool. Like, one thing that me and Jem were really about is empowering people, empowering each other, empowering, you know, everybody else. So, like, hopefully you guys can take some of this advice and apply it to your own shit and say, yo, you know what? Chris is right, Jem is right. This is something that I've been struggling with, you know? So it's like,
right.
So let us know if you enjoyed this part of it, and let's just keep it moving now.
Another thing that kind of ties into this is how people cope with and without social media. And I think this actually plays really well into mental health. I think that in 2018, you know, we are so dependent on our phones, and I'm going to just, you know, I'm going to throw all my shit out there. I've deleted, like, you know, Facebook and Snapchat, Instagram from my phone. Within the next hour, it's all re-downloaded on my phone.
I'll be posting shit like, yeah, I'm going ghost, fuck all y'all. Right. I don't need this shit.
And I don't even
next day, I'm like, oh, what's up, y'all?
Yeah, I don't acknowledge the fact that it's like that meme when that lady's, you know, sweeping up, like, the rain and stuff. That's me. It's like, I'll do, like, my whole post, like, you know, nobody's there for me. I hate y'all. 15 minutes later, I post a selfie.
Right.
And it's like, it's become so I'm dependent on it now.
Yeah, it's like, a cry for help.
It's like it's like my antidepressant. I need it. You know,
it's a cry for help. It's like a way to, you know, cry out for attention. And like by us putting shit out, like, oh, I don't need anybody. I don't need attention.
We do.
We're asking for attention. It's like we're kind of contradicting ourselves, and I'm really guilty for that shit. And a lot of y'all know, and like I fucking hate it. And like I try to tell people like, oh, yo, the only reason I keep Facebook is so I can talk to my homies in Colombia and my family. Like, no, shut the fuck up. You like to talk shit on Facebook and post dumbass shit and you know, talk to people. It's like, so yeah, so people it's crazy to, in this day and age where you meet, and I've met a couple people that be like, yeah, no, I don't really fuck with Facebook or anything. Like, I have a couple coworkers that, you know, they're not even old, really. They're just kind of like, oh, yo, you can find me on Facebook, you know, like, find the podcast, like, oh, I don't do Facebook. And I'm like, how? You know what I mean? It's like, it's disgusting that we even have to question ourselves to how other people live without it. You know, like, it shouldn't be something that you go like, oh my, it's not like, oh, you don't eat? How do you survive? No, it's just social media. But we're so trained and so addicted to that shit that now when we meet somebody that doesn't really fuck with that, you're like, oh my God, how do you talk to people? Like, I fucking go outside.
My husband only has an Instagram.
See, that's dope.
He does not post. He
Shout out to him.
Posts, well, like, you know, two times a month he'll post.
Right.
And I'm like, how do you live? Because I mean,
it's so sad that we have to ask that shit,
right?
You know?
Like he'll read books and he'll do things, and I'm like
normal fucking people,
right? And I'm like, oh my God, you're not on Twitter, and he's like, no, for what? And I feel like, you know, I literally sometimes, like, you know, I cannot cope without my phone. Like, if I'm sad or if I start crying, I instantly go to my phone and I'm checking all my apps. I will literally go into Twitter 59 times to see the same thing I just saw. Same here. You know, the 49th time, and it's like, I don't know. I personally, like, I'm at the point where I don't know how to cope without it. And I have this app on my phone that tells me how much time I spend every day.
Yeah, me too. That shit's fucking depressing. I don't look at it.
And I'm like, oh,
it's
God.
so trash.
Yeah, I'm like,
I could have read a book. I could have fucking worked out. I could have
started a freaking company. I could have invented something.
You know what I mean?
But I was on Instagram looking at the explore page, looking at girls like wigs.
Yeah, I've been posting dumb shit like those fucking, I don't know who needs to hear this status that I've been posting for the past 2 months. Like, you know how much time you've been wasting doing, you know, but it's like, you can't help it. And like, I'm not saying that we can't really get away with it if we would try to, but it's like, you don't really think about, like,
I think I'd have to be dead, honestly.
Yeah, like, why do I have to, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, why do we have to get away from it, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like now it's like a pro and a con thing. Like, why should I be on my phone? Why shouldn't I be on my phone? Because there's plenty of times where my phone has saved me from, you know, somebody talking to me about something that I didn't want to talk about. You know what I mean?
You pull your phone out when you're out in public, someone wants to talk to you. I just pull my phone out like I'm on the phone, like, yo, I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
And you're not. You know what I mean?
I'm so guilty of that, and if you've ever seen me out, I'm so sorry about that. But sometimes your anxiety, you know, you just don't want to talk to people.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, I feel like that's a good thing with having our phones. But at the same time, I feel like my husband has told me, you know, during certain times, and it's kind of caused, you know, at one point our relationship was strained because he's like, you're always on your phone. Mm-hmm. We'd be at dinner, I'd be on my phone. He'd be talking to me, I'd be on my phone. And to me, I was like, okay, well, you're weird because you're not on your phone. So I'm like, you know, now I'm thinking about it deeply, and I'm like, how the fuck do we even have relationships or friendships in 2018 because we're always on our phones.
Yeah.
I like when we hang out with our friends, we're on our phones.
Oh yeah, it's just so trash.
Right. We don't pay attention to anybody.
Yeah, I try not to do that, but I'm pretty sure I still do it too. It's just crazy how we even have to. We become so dependent and so like addicted to the shit that this is even a topic. You know what I mean? Like years ago, we didn't have social media like this. We didn't have smartphones, and we got through just fine. You know what I mean? So it's like, why can't we go back to that? And I mean, I know why, because now technology is so accessible and it has so much shit that you can do just in the palm of your hands. Like, you don't even need a computer anymore. You don't need, like, I'm pretty sure the only time we would use a computer is for this podcast shit. Otherwise, we're on our phones. Like,
all the time.
Listen to music, even promoting the podcast. All the promotion that I've been doing from the podcast is from my fucking phone.
Right. Everything is from our phones. I mean,
it's
even
crazy.
Hiring, our audio tech from
Anybody.
our phones.
Yeah.
And it's hard because my parents, they're older generation Haitians, and they're like, you're always on your phone. I'm like, I'm networking. I'm, doing stuff for my business. Like, yeah, I need it. And then it's like, at the same time, like, I'm with my parents. I don't really need to be on my phone because I'm with the two people that I love,
For sure.
So why am I on my phone? So I don't know. Like, it's really hard. I actually, the other day, since we're talking about this, I was at Target with my husband and my kid. I saw a woman on her phone. She must have walked into at least 3 people just looking at her phone the whole time. And the crazy thing is, like, you would have thought when she hit the first person,
she would have chilled out.
Homegirl would have stopped walking and put her phone down. She put her phone right back up to her face and continued to barrel down into Target. She's a big girl. She just kept knocking people down on her way to get into Target. And I was like, shit, maybe I should put my phone down sometimes because I'll do that. And then I heard, a barber today say that when people come to his chair, and they're on their phone, it's really rude to him. And to me, I'm thinking, why? When I get my hair done by my girls, like, I stay on my phone. But then I realize, do they think that that's rude? And I feel like we just don't even care anymore. We don't even think about what other people are, what their concerns are. We're just going to be on our phones no matter fucking what.
Yeah, see, especially when you're in a situation like at the barber, because I go to the barber too. But me and my barber are cool. We talk a lot of shit. But if you're at a barber, you don't really talk to your barber, and you're getting your hair cut, you're gonna be on your phone because that's the way you kind of cope with how awkward the situation is with somebody's all up in your fucking head, and you don't know what to say because you don't know these people. So you just kind of be on your phone. So I understand why barbers think it's rude, obviously, for sure. Like, I would probably do the same thing. But if you're not really cool with your barber or anybody that's has your attention like that, you're gonna resort to your phone just to kind of hide in that shit when you don't really have to deal with the outside world where you're actually at. So you just pull your phone out and just look at dumb shit all day. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, me and my barber, we talk a lot of shit. He's cool as fuck, but for somebody who doesn't really have that relationship with their barbers,
yeah,
it might be awkward. So you just kind of let me pull my phone out and just ignore this motherfucker because I don't even know what he's saying.
So okay, now that we're talking about being awkward and being on your phone, let's talk about friends setting up each other on blind dates.
Oh, I was so excited for this topic. Yo, this is so trash. Okay, so my theory with that is, and I was talking about this shit to my coworkers the other day. Your boys, no matter who the fuck it is, your boys are never gonna set you on a blind date with a bad bitch. Never. Because they're gonna want to get it. And the time one of your boys actually sets you up with a girl that's actually good looking and like bad, she's probably fucking crazy. Because at the end of the day, guys don't. If I'm seeing a chick and I think she's bad, I'm not gonna want to give her up to my boy. Like, hey, bro, you should date this chick that I've been seeing. Like, no, we're territorial, especially me. Like, no, fuck, I'm not sharing nothing. Like, don't even add my girl on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And you all that been thinking it's cool to start adding my girl on Facebook because we've been tagging each other and shit. Don't do it. Fuck that. Don't do it. So I'm like that. You know what I mean? So it's like every time you get set up on a blind date, it's not somebody that. It's a loss to you. Like, I'm not going to set you up with somebody that I think, like, shit, I should have still been, with that. You know what I mean? It's going to be somebody I don't give a fuck about. And that's really trash of us to do. Like, that happened to me, like, years ago. My boy TJ, shout out to my boy TJ. He set me up on one day, and when he was like, yo, there's this one girl, I'm going to say her name. Her name is Alyssa. It's a lot of Alyssa, so if you think it's you, I don't care. She's like, oh, yo, she's been kind of, like, feeling you. Let's just kick it. And so I was like, man, I don't really do this whole blind date shit. I don't really do it. And now, come on, bro, she's really cool, man. She's she's really beautiful. Just, you like her. And back then we didn't really have social media like now, where I'm not gonna like pull up her name and be like, yo, who is this bitch? We didn't have that. So I was like, all right, bro, I'm gonna trust you. So we ended up, like, I think it was went to the movies, and I'm waiting. First of all, she was late. Like, don't be late to a date. I fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate it. Colombians are the most punctual people in the world. So don't be late to. So she was late, and she finally got there, and I'm looking, and because he told me, oh, she's, redhead, kind of tall, so I'm looking for, that. And that's this girl. And, like, I'm not, no offense to anybody, but she just wasn't anything that I expected at all. And she comes up to me, and she's like, are you Christian? And I'm like, yo, I wanted to say no so bad. I wanted to be like, no, my name is, like, Flip Phone Fernando or some shit like that. I don't know, But I was like, yeah, it's me. And then she's like, oh, I'm Alyssa, nice to meet you. And I'm like, shit, yo, like, so, I'm like, look, I already bought the tickets. I'm going to watch the movie, whatever. Worst comes to worst, the movie's good, and, what it is what it is. So we're in the movie theater, and she's, like, trying to hold my hand the whole time. I'm like, yo, I'm not, it's just really awkward. It's like, blind dates are trash. Like, I feel like dating sites are pretty much blind dates now, too, like Jen was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like,
Tinder,
Bumble, that other bullshit. I was talking to my girl the other day, and then we brought something about Tinder up, and she's like, you had a Tinder? I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't nothing.
Everybody
like
had
that.
a Tinder.
Yeah, but she didn't. She's never had a Tinder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I was like, yo, like, you're dope. Like, I've never met a girl, and she's like, no. I'm like, well, I mean, it's not like you need it, but I just never met anybody that has been single. Especially, here's the thing, people make Tinders and Bumbles, I don't know all the bullshit that might be out there out of spite. Like, here's the thing, you'll go through a shitty breakup, the person will hurt you, she'll cheat on you, he'll cheat on you, so you're gonna make a Tinder, like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna find a Tinder, and I'm gonna hope I find all his homeboys on here so I can run through all of them. They can tell him that they hooked up with me because, and now he can see that he shouldn't have cheated on me. It's like, that's what we do. That's what people get. So I think, to me, that's what it is. It's not because they're trying to find love, because you're not gonna find love in fucking Tinder.
Well, I met my husband on Tinder.
Okay, so you got lucky. That's cool.
But I must say, when I first started my Tinder, it was really just like a revenge.
It's wild. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. You want to find, and that's the same thing I did. You know what I mean? Like, when I would try to date, females after the whole, me and my baby mom breakup, after I kind of really got back into my, dating bag, and I would meet people, and then it just wouldn't work out, and, whatever. We kind of ended up on bad terms. I'd be like, yo, let me see if I can find a homegirl now, because I'm going to be spiteful. Granted, I never really did, but it's just, the whole dating shit is just so wild.
And I definitely feel like Tinder is like 100% like a blind date, because, okay, sure, you don't know this person. You guys have maybe exchanged like 2 or 3 messages, and then it's like, okay, let's meet up at Starbucks, or let's meet up at this place. And I can't tell you how many effing times I've been like, oh, okay, like, I met, like, when I first went through my first marriage, my divorce, I was like not feeling myself. I was like fucking 300 pounds. And then I was like, I'm going to work out, and I'm going to make a Tinder, and I'm going to meet someone cool that I want to hang out with. Oh. And, ironically, I matched with my husband, and, but we were just friends at the time, and we stayed friends for about 1.5 years. So other than that, I was like going on all these blind dates with these dudes. And every time I was like completely upset with myself. Like, every time I saw them face to face, I was like, why did I do this? I would be sitting, at the restaurant, and they're talking to me, and I'm like, why am I here? Or like somebody be like, oh, well, you should meet so-and-so. And I would go meet that person. Or they would come to my house. Never invite someone from Tinder to your home. No, never. Because I sat there with this person, and we talked for like 4 hours, and I'm like, can you please leave? Like, it was like so annoying. So I definitely think that...
Yeah, it's just so bad. It happened to me too.
Yeah, Tinder for sure is like 100% blind dating to me. And I feel like if your friends really love you, then they're going to try to find someone that, I feel like for me, I'm going to be honest, looks are not really that huge of a thing for me. I feel like if you have a good personality, number one, if you can make me laugh, which my husband made me laugh all the time, then that's awesome. But at the same time, like, your friends know you, and they know how to play you, and they know how to try you. So I feel like, there's going to be... Like,
they know you have a type.
Right. So 50% of, the blind date is your friends trying to play you. Mm-hmm. And then 50% is them actually caring and saying, I'm hooking up with such and such. But I feel like, now at this time and, the generation that we're in, a blind date is honestly terrifying.
It's so bad. Dating period is fucking terrifying these days.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's blind or not, whether it's somebody that you already know or not, it's because there's so much shit now that people can get their hands on to, like, ruin shit for you. That
people are bringing up your old posts.
Exactly.
Everybody, and I think, that being from the town, well, I'm not from this town, neither are you, but living in this town that we live in, people are so petty, and I feel like, you know, as soon as you start dating somebody, oh, do you know they were with so and so? I don't care, because they're not with so and so now, and you know they're with me. But I mean, like, not everyone can think as maturely as we do. I feel like the moment that someone starts dating someone else, people try to pull, you know, all types of dumb shit, like, oh, you know, they used to do
break
this,
you down,
right? And it's like, how can you even feel comfortable being with someone after people have already, you know, ruined it or told you like 1,000 different things, you know, about that person? So it's like, okay, like, how do I move forward? So then it makes dating even 10 times harder than it is, because your anxious brain is now like, well, what the fuck do I do about, you know what I mean, about this person or what I heard. And I've been 100% guilty of that. That's why on my Tinder, I would set my location to like 60 miles. So it was literally going to be a blind date, because I have no idea who this fucking person is.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I always saw people that... That's another thing. I always saw people on a fucking Tinder that had no business being in Tinder. Like, I saw some females, and, you know, I'm not going to name anybody, although I should, where they're like, you know, they got a fucking Tinder profile, but yeah, their husband's, like, deployed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, getting shot at, getting fucking whatever it is they go through over there. And you're over here, you know, making the Tinder. It's just trash. Like I said, now, these days, I think dating and actually finding somebody is harder than ever. So it's like, when you really do find somebody, like you actually got so lucky with finding homeboy on Tinder, that's cool, because I know, from what I can see, you guys vibe. You guys, you know, vibe is cool. And like me, that I met her, yeah, I'm not going to say a name. It's cool. Like, so you got to, like, when shit like this happens, and especially at this day and age, it makes you value it so much more, because you're like, yo, a year ago I was on Tinder trying to find somebody that wasn't just trying to use me for a fucking free meal, or you know what I mean, anything like that. So
right,
it's like, you kind of like,
and I'm guilty of that. I've been like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna meet up with someone.
Yeah, the worst that could happen is
just because I'm hungry, you know. But I think with my, you know, for me, like you said, like I lucked out, you know, with my husband, is like we were friends, you know, we matched, we talked, and then we, you know, like, but it took us a year to like get to where we are, you know, to be married and to, you know,
yeah,
have a
but when
relationship.
you know.
Exactly. When you know, you know. And I mean, with my first, you know, husband, I sound like a fucking tramp. With my first husband, like I rushed into marrying him, you know, after a little while, and you know.
No, but I feel like we all have one.
We'll have a horror story.
Yeah, we all rush into it. Like, same thing when, you know, Maddie's mom. We were so infatuated with each other. Plus, I had, you know, crazy baby fever because of my niece that was born. So I was like, yo, I know we've only been dating for 6 months, but let's make a baby. You sure? Yeah, okay, cool, it'll be fine. Obviously, it wasn't, because, you know, now we're, you know what I mean? Here we are. But it's like, I think everybody has to go through that shit to kind of like learn from the next time.
And I mean, I've seen my husband's exes, so I know he had to go through that to get to me. Not saying that I'm like some, you know, great like prize, but I mean, okay, I am saying I'm a great prize when it comes to, you know, what he dated before. But I mean, you know, sometimes you never know how life is going to work out, and you go on a blind date and you meet the love of your life, or you just have another story to tell when you're, you know, drunk and talking shit with your friends. Yeah. You know? But
either way, it's all learning experience. You know, whether it's the one that's working out or it doesn't, it just helps you, you know,
it gives you a better person.
It makes you a better person
when you go on a bad date.
Plus, it teaches you all the warning signs. You're like, oh yeah, you know what? Homegirl that I was with before is doing the exact same shit she's doing. I'm out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You need that, because otherwise you don't pick up on the signs that ends up, you know, hurt and blown up in your face and maybe even stabbed, whatever the fuck you want to go through.
And my most favorite thing about, you know, meeting new people is you get to know who they voted for. And speaking of votes, you guys should really go out and vote. I know by the time this comes out or you listen to it, you may have already voted. So yeah, go ahead and vote. And I don't care if you're voting for Republicans or Democrats.
That's important.
Just vote. As long as you vote and you make your voice heard.
I don't want to hear that shit. My vote don't count. It counts.
Yeah, your vote. It counts. Clearly, your vote has counted.
Especially now.
You know, so just go out and vote. And make sure that, you know, one of the things that we're going to ask you guys to do is, when you are done listening to our podcast, please leave us feedback on Apple. You know, hit the 3 stars, hit the 2 stars, whatever.
No, fuck that. Hit the 5 stars.
Even if it's mean, please comment so we know that you guys are active and you're listening.
For sure.
So yeah, with that being said, we're going to wrap on episode 2, and we hope that you guys enjoyed talking shit with us. Again, I'm Jem, and you can find me at I'm Just Jem on Twitter and Instagram. And Chris's Instagram, he's going to tell you guys right now.
Yeah, my Instagram, I think it's petty_guapo, like GUAPO, some shit like that. So yeah, just follow me, personal page, whatever. Like she said, we hope you guys enjoyed this more of a serious note kind of episode. I promise the next episode we're going to get into her bag and just talk a lot of shit. And also my Twitter is at TripC90. TRIPC90. Follow me on that shit, like as she said, little feedback, write us, let us know how we're doing, if we're doing good, if we're not doing good, what you guys want to hear from us. And on that note, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up because we've been talking a lot of shit now. So y'all, we'll see you guys next time.
Episode 3.
And all right,
guys,
bye.
This episode of All Talk with Jem and Chris was brought to you by JMSCA Media. Please follow us on Instagram at JMSCA Media and check out our website at giftofgab.space.